Welcome to episode 9. I do apologize for this episode because it is in post-commentary style now. Because during the live recording, I had my microphone muted, so it forgot to pick up my volume on my side, which I guess for some of you, the viewers, is perhaps not a bad thing, because now I don't have to focus on the game. Now here, I remember we left off taking Neapolis away from the Etruscan League. And this is pretty good because I got to loot it, I got to sack it, got a lot of money out of it. Not that I really need the money. I don't know, it's still a habit I do now. Here we go, Athens. Unfortunately, I was unable to escape from this army, so I simply decided I would sacrifice it, because there's nothing I can do. I could try to win the battle. I probably could have won the battle, considering now that I look in retrospect, but I didn't feel it was in my best interest or your best interest to watch another one of these battles that really aren't that important. Even if I was able to hold it, you'll see later in this video, it would be meaningless because I would never be able to truly hold it. Yes, had I won the battle, I would have beaten Athens back. I would have beaten its armies back for a mere 2 turns. And though I could have recovered, I don't think it would have been a great foothold, because now it seems to me that I should directly assault the city of Athens when I look in retrospect. So when I first start with my conquest of Greece, it will either be at Apollonia, which you will see later in this video becomes a problem to take. So Athens seems, well, Athenae, I think is what it's called in the game. The city of Athens is the one I might choose to take more often, if that made any sense. So we lost the army, the turn ended. Lots of things happening, as you can see, most of which I don't really care. There is the Etruscan army. I constantly go for a poison because that's kind of all they're worth. And yeah, we're just sitting back and building up. Now, I guess this is going to be off topic from Rome 2 and this sort of gameplay, but I am making a Dark Souls 2 video. For those of you who have already seen it, congratulations. For those of you who don't know about it, I am making it. I'm literally running out of things to talk about here. Post-commentary is definitely one of the hardest things to talk about because you're not actively playing the game, though at the same time it could be said playing the game is very hard and post-commentary is very easy, simply because playing the game, you aren't entirely focused on the game, but at the same time you're not entirely focused on your commentating and what you say. So it's a mixed bag of sorts. I definitely prefer the post-commentary simply because it's easier in my view, though hard, it's slightly ever so easier to do simply because I can just focus on one task at hand. But yeah, anyways, I guess back to Rome 2. You can see here that my character is gaining large amounts of gravitas, which allows you to gain more Senate support if you're Rome, or if you're any other faction, more support on the political party list, whether it's more senators, noblemen, judges for Carthage, or something else. Chieftains, I think, is the barbarian ones. So from there, I'm hoping to trigger a civil war. Now, I still don't know much about the Civil War and how it triggers. I just know it triggers at a certain point of your Imperium, mostly when your Imperium is maxed out, or if your party, your political party, has a vast majority of power. I am trying to accumulate as much political party as much political influence as possible to trigger this civil war. I want it triggered just simply so I can get it over with. I don't have to worry about another civil war going on. It'll be easier on myself. Me, myself, and I. Now, I do want to get Syracuse into a defensive alliance with me. Granted, Syracuse may not have been as great as Carthage, but they're better than nothing. And though they're not trustworthy in my view, they're still better than nothing. So hopefully I can get them into some kind of defensive alliance agreement, perhaps. My conquest of Greece is... it's going to be very hard. It looks to be very hard on my case, in my view. And I don't know how well it'll go. But you'll see later in this video that something happens and allows me to redirect a few of my men's attention to a certain western side of the map. Yeah, I'm probably giving out too much information and spoilers, but you'll see later on that there are things that happen that allow me to take advantage of. What? I can't even read this on the little Vegas screen I'm looking at, so I don't even know what it is. You can see me reading it. That's probably really boring. I don't know what I did there. I think it was an adoption one, where it was like your glorious general child or some woman is pregnant without having you know what with another dude. Wait, why did I even say another dude? With a dude. I have heard scientifically that is actually possible, but it will most likely be a female, as I believe it's a clone. I don't know what it's exactly called, but I know it is possible, though I've heard it's super, super rare to ever happen. But yeah, I don't mind a general. You know, it's always good to get more from your faction, because if I remember correctly, when you recruit generals, they usually take senators away if they're from your party. So if you could already gain a general without having to hire him through raising an army, then he is a free general without any political backlash on your party. Oh, that's what... okay. Okay. So I actually... when I was doing this live... oh, no, never mind. Never mind. I thought it was... never mind. Forget that. I thought it was something else. I thought I was looking at something else. So you can see me moving an army to protect whatever that settlement is. That city province. I don't even know. But between Athens and Rome, right now in my little Let's Play, is... there's a stalemate. The AI does not seem sure on what it wants to do, on what it's going to do. Now, of course, by auto-resolve, they would win the city easily, but because I would fight the battle out had they ever attacked with such a massive amount of force, I mean, you can look on the screen right now. Look at that massive Athenian force. Had they attacked, they would attack by sea unless they were going to land. But even then, they could never get all their troops, at least by sea, on the battle map, because there simply isn't enough room for them to land on. So they would only get maybe a 40 amount of troops on the land, and that's simply not enough to take the city. Here Libya offers me a peace treaty, but they were asking for an exorbitant sum of money. The Massilians were asking for a, I believe, non-aggression pact, but they were also asking for an exorbitant sums of money. I'm not sure if I'm saying that word right, actually. Absurdly, I'll use it as absurdly amount of money. I don't know, I don't think I used it. Yeah, I don't think I used that right, but regardless. They ask for too much. I simply do not deliver on those high demands. And I know what you're probably all thinking. It's just 4,800. I make double that in a single turn, and I have like 100,000, you know, denaries. I can do whatever the heck I want, and that's true. I could, but I'm not going to. I simply won't accept them because they're just not favorable, and I don't really see a point to, like, if I accept a non-aggression treaty with Massilia, it just makes the northern barbarian tribes more enraged and more likely to attack me. I want it to be where I'm less likely to be engaged in the north right now. After all, the winter's coming. Okay, that was totally inappropriate, but I don't want to be attacked in the north simply because I'm already waging a war with the western side of my lands, which is with Athens. And then I have to worry about the RDI kind of people. I think they're the Balkan culture, so they're supposed to be like pirates. And I'm not sure what they're doing. I'm assuming they are expanding west as they have not attacked me. Usually they would attack me. But it would seem this time around they have decided to not attack me, oddly enough. So I do still worry about them. Here you can see I'm picking out a diplomat. This is mostly to get rid of that little annoying, whatchamacallit, champion that the Etruscan League has. And it's causing havoc around my settlements because it's kind of forbidding me from further constructing those workshops to be more useful. I'm always looking for a promotion. That's kind of why I go into the political screen. Here I'm trying to make sure that this is the person I want to defend that slightly northern settlement. So as you can see, I have already predicted Athens will probably try to attack Ariminimum. I don't know how to pronounce that properly. I probably do, but I'm just not doing it. But because I suspect that the AI, if they're not going to attack the city, they are probably going to attack that small town to the north, as it is the only coastal province that they will probably attack. If not, they will be attacking somewhere in the middle. What do I mean by that? I mean they will land their forces somewhere in the middle. Now, do I think the AI would attack Rome directly? Not really. My reasoning for this is mostly because it's suicidal to attack Rome directly. I actually have a very large garrison force. It is something I don't think people should take lightly, and especially if I'm able to upgrade my Hastati to Legionnaires and my Principes to Legionnaires, then they really would be suicidal if they attacked Rome itself. Or a few of my others, or at least the large cities. The smaller towns is not so much suicidal. They can do it, but it will be a hard battle for the AI to really take. I believe next turn we end up wounding, well, the coming turn we end up wounding this champion, who doesn't really do much. And I don't really like champions. I like spies the most. They're so useful. They can hide in secret and do a lot of things. Here you can see a blackmail. I never fall for a blackmail. It's never worth the money because it's only gravitas that gets hurt. Gravitas is gained per turn, or over time anyway, so it really doesn't matter if they blackmail, especially considering my faction leader, which you are looking at. He has, what, 198 gravitas? 201 gravitas? Something like that? Insane amount of gravitas. So I'm not very worried if they blackmail some lower end person. Here I'm going to poison again, I think. Or do I click on... No, I think I click on the settlement, but I accidentally misclick for a... what is it called? For a incite revolt? Incite unrest. There we go. Incite unrest, and that was accidental. I was trying to go for poison wells, and this is mostly because had I gone for poison wells, I may very well have tried to attack them sooner, because their garrison would be weaker, and with less troops in their garrison, an easier fight. If I remember properly, by the end of this turn, they will attack my army, which I pull back. But that is when you will see an opportunity arise on my part. And that I being a player and not an AI, will actually capitalize on this opportunity. Here I am building, of course, my standard army, as you can see. 4 spearmen, 8 swordsmen, 2 cavalry, and 5 bowmen. And the horsemen as a general. Your general could be whatever you really want. I personally choose horsemen. Again, I think I mentioned this in earlier videos, and it is simply because they are more mobile. I love the mobility of a general, though, as you will see in a battle later on, I am not a very great commander on the battlefield. Though, I don't think I am the worst. I have seen people play worse than I have. And some of them are close friends because they're just not that good in RTS games, and I don't blame them. It takes some foresight at times, and it takes quick reaction. Contrary to popular belief, actually, RTS games take a very quick reaction time to everything, really. Because I believe in popular belief right now, or at least from what I know of most people who play video games, they think first-person shooters are where it really happens. Oh, yeah. Let me finish this and I'll talk about what you just saw that I went by. So, popular belief is probably first-person shooters will have higher reaction times because it's a first-person shooter. They need to be able to be reacting very quickly. It goes the same with RTS games, where people have to react quickly to a certain situation. They have to move troops around to a certain situational degree or something of the sort, and they need to do this quickly because one false step could mean the death of your entire army or base or whatever it may be.
This senseless war can end today.
But I believe most people believe they think RTS is very slow, very boring. They don't really understand how it can be fun for people, perhaps. And to an extent, I can see where they come from. You know, like the campaign map is very slow, very boring. The battle map is much more fast-paced. Here, as I said earlier, the Etruscan League does attack me. I will pull back as appropriate because that's very unfavorable to be attacked at such a position. But here is the opportunity I talked about. You can see that they have 3 fleets, that's true, and an army on land. But that army is not connected by the fleets. It does not gain any support. No support means you die. That's how this works. So, I capitalize on this opportunity where I see this army has no support by its fleets. And that's fantastic for me, because I will annihilate it. And no, this is not the battle I was talking about. This is simply auto-resolving. But without that army, what do you think happens to the Etruscan League? You know there are 3 fleets left, but you know that the battle map, only has a very limited amount of space for ships to land. You know there's a settlement, but a garrison force is never that strong to fight the armies I bring. What do you think happens? Now, back to the subject of the O that I mentioned earlier. The reason I said O was because if you sold that wife, they call it, that they call in this game, which I think is just another retainer, another trait modifier kind of thing, that wife of his adds political power per turn and authority. The authority, not too bad, I can live with. The political power, the 0.5, even though minuscule, is still political power, of which I frown upon at least I frown upon on characters outside of my factions that have these sort of wives. The reason I also said O was because I wanted to assassinate them, but at the same time, I just simply didn't feel it was worth it. I also remember at the time now that I was mentioning how I don't really play the political system in Rome 2. Not that much. Most of it is simply just gathering gravitas, and the rest is just once in a while a message pops up. You do one of 5, 10, I don't know how many decisions they ever have. I also just moved the scout, by the way, to the spy to scout out the area to see if Athens has any more armies. But as you can see on the campaign map, they have, 2 fleets and like a few armies on the seas already. They're probably capped out. So I don't think they're much of a threat any longer in terms of extra armies. But hey, it always pays to make sure. Here you will see the Etruscan League move back to its place. Macedon, will be moving its armies, but I don't know. The AI does not seem to know what it's trying to do. It's just moving everywhere, which is not beneficial to the AI. Here, as I said earlier, Athens sort of just goes into a stalemate, and they don't do anything. Sparta offers a peace treaty, of which I am not going to accept. I simply do not care anymore, because we're already at war. Our goal is to have a war with them. I don't really care if they want to stop one. I want one. Here they try to slow down my army with their champion, but it doesn't really work out. My goodness, I have lost track of what I was talking about earlier. Well, regardless, I'm sure there was nothing of great importance. Nothing of great importance. According to Vegas right now, it looks like the battle is coming up in maybe 2 minutes or so, maybe less. But it is coming up. It should happen somewhere in this turn. Somewhere. I really don't know where. Infamy. Okay, this one I remember clearly. There was a... This is about throwing him off the rock or crucifying him. I always choose crucify. Because once you... I believe if you click crucify, then throw him off the rock, you gain senator support. Unfortunately, I did not gain senator support. So I'm very confused on what's going on. But that's for a later time. Here, you will see I have finally... wait for it. It's coming. Because I'm just looking through the political list to see who the hell these generals are from. I don't want the Juliais to engage because I don't want them gaining the political power. I want the Cornelius to, because they really don't have any, and Julia is kind of big. So I want them to gain it, and here we go. There we go. I have chosen to besiege them, and the battle will commence soon as I move my reinforcements in. As you can see, I originally wanted to auto-resolve, and I thought this would work, but no, it doesn't. It doesn't. So I chose to fight on the battlefield, as you can see now, in a very fast-forwarded motion. Otherwise, this video would have been really long, to be honest. This battle took like 20, 30 minutes, which again, I will reiterate that battles in Radius are very slow compared to the vanilla, which I personally like, because battles in Rome 1 were, well, I guess in Total War Rome 1, as it should be called now. I used to call it Rome 1 Total War. I think everyone else did too, but Total War Rome, battles used to be very slow. They were slow. They were like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, which I think a lot of people could not stand, which is perhaps why the series did not gain as much popularity. And even to today, I don't think the series has gained as much popularity as it deserves. It is truly almost one of a kind. I'm not sure if that made any sense to anybody, but hopefully it does. Here you can see I pulled out my cavalry because I see these levy skirmishers, these levy slingers, and they're targeting my cav, which is of course logical of them, but I quickly retreat after that devastating charge to the levy skirmishers. I force them to land, which is exactly what you want. You want them to land, then take advantage of this. As you can see, I always love doing this pincer move with cavalry as best I can. Here you can see I move my archers forward. Why am I moving them forward? Well, obviously to take pot shots at them. I want a bit more damage, but unfortunately, because of the way the AI has positioned itself, I'm not so certain that would work. Now here you can see on the unit screen that I have lots and lots of histati. Pay close attention to how much histati I have, and then pay close attention to how good the Etruscan League actually is in their unit selection during Radius. I know a lot of people are capable of crushing the Etruscan League early on, so they have never actually played against late-game Etruscan, well, mid to late-game Etruscan League. It is much different. They don't field, and unlike vanilla, they don't field tons and tons and tons, and I mean tons in terms of weight and money of Italian spearmen. They use what Radius provides them, like Italian reformed swordsmen, or which are basically their version of legionnaire infantry, who are very capable of combating Histati and Principe, by the way. Very capable units. They also are able to make veteran spearmen, who are like veteran hoplites, I think? Well, I think they're more like hoplites than veteran hoplites. Here I have my archers firing into that giant blob of troops, and here you can see me trying to get into that flank. I love zooming in, and perhaps that's the downfall of this army, and why it sort of kind of fails in some way, and it's mostly because of my zooming in. But again, I am fighting on like four different areas here. So I have to divert my attention all the way around this battle map. As you can see, unlike vanilla, this is very chaotic. I'm sure most of you have noticed by now, in vanilla, you could usually just run in with your Histati and pretty much destroy everything in there. Here you can see I have to use other ways and other means of utilizing the terrain, of utilizing my units to get around. I cannot just rush in because it will become a slaughtering zone. Now you can see on the unit screen that I have lost a significant amount of Histari, and if you saw earlier in the distance, you saw this giant blob of Etruscan troops attack. Here is where things kind of get interesting for me, because I rarely ever use my general's abilities, and you just saw me use a rally. Here I forced all my cavalry to charge, which was probably a mistake. It only took one of them to really take them down. But as you can see, through my tactics and troop management, I am still superior on the battle map, though the AI is... has some troops. Here I go for hammer and anvil. It's somewhat effective, but I have lost too many Histari early on, so as you can see, they're sort of fleeing from the battlefield, running away. Most of my Histari lines have actually taken tremendous casualties, I would say. In vanilla, you would usually never take this many casualties, even for a Histari unit. And in this, they're getting really demolished, really grinded. If it weren't for my archers, I don't know what I would do, because each of my at least group 1 archers got at least 100 kills. That's 500 kills. That's 500 less kills that my Histari and other units have to kill. That's a lot of units. But anyways, the battle is going to end. It ends in my victory, as you can see. I forced all my city watches. And as you can see, they're surrounding this unit of veteran Italian spearmen. It's going to break and it's going to shatter. And then we'll be back onto the campaign map, right on time. So the campaign map, as you can see now, the Etruscan League is in big trouble. I have utterly crushed them, and now, as you will see, I will sack their settlement. Then I will come back and loot their settlement. I will force the last army off. And I believe at the end turn, the Etruscan League comes back with a siege, but I will professionally deal with them. Not really professionally, I will just let the computer deal with them by using the auto-resolve, because why not? Who wants to watch a battle every single time or fight every meaningless battle? At your command. But they do try to make a comeback, but it's too late. I have utterly destroyed them. So the Etruscan League, like I said earlier in this video, is no more. The opportunity has arisen, and now I may turn my men's attention elsewhere. And hopefully to the western side. I am hoping the barbarian factions of the north do not attack me, or do not attempt to attack me, though we will never find out in this video, as I myself have not even gotten that far yet. But let us hope the north does not attack me, because that would become very problematic. I do not want to redirect troops to the north. I am still weary of Carthage because they do have a massive fleet. This is actually a good trait. If you ever get this in, I have no idea what mod this comes from. I think it's the traits in the trait mod, but it could be in vanilla as well. If you ever get that trait, you put it on your faction leader. Put it on your faction leader. Make sure he never dies, because that is an invaluable trait. My diplomat, other than that assassination attempt, is very... he's not really useful anymore, because I can't do anything with him. I simply can't, because there's nothing to do with him. I don't know what to do. But, moving on, now that my attention can be directed towards Greece, my conquest of Greece may finally begin after, like, 4 videos of talking about it. It may finally get started. Last video you have seen me take Apollonia, I don't know, that settlement that I lost at the beginning of this video, I believe. I might take it back, but as I said earlier, I am probably going to re-strategize and start attacking from Athens. Why? Their army, as you have seen on the campaign map, is actually close to my homeland, southern province of Magna Graecia, I believe is what it's called, or Gracia, or something of the sort. I'm hoping I can get an army around, swing around, back them, hit them from Athens. Now, if I can eliminate Macedon, that would be a massive boon, because Macedon, according to the campaign map, or I should say the political map, they seem to be in their original starting settlement that they had in the north. I'm not sure how big they've gotten. They may have already taken over the entire area. If they have not, we can take them down and move straight to Pella. What does this give us? It gives us 2 main cities to work with, one of whom I can use for trade and reinforcement, and simply a blockade, a block against, no, a wall would be more appropriate, against Athens. While the northern settlement, I can start focusing on building up a military to combat Athens and move south, while at the same time hopefully pulling my armies from the Carolus region that I took from Carthage and the Etruscan League, pull those 2 out later, and then come around, swing back south, hit Athens where they're hit Athenae, and then crush Spartan with a combined force of possibly 4 to 5 armies. Now that is the ideal plan. Hopefully everything goes smoothly, but as you know, in Total War, even in vanilla, agents are super OP. I am not entirely certain how long this will take. It could take a few 30 odd turns, and I believe this is 4 turns per year, so 30 and then divide that by 4 and you have how many years it'll take. So yeah, it's a decent number of years. I'm not sure how long my faction leader will be around to benefit that, but I do have other faction members who can take over. I'm not sure how that'll proceed, because I don't really like the other members of my faction. They're just sort of there to help bolster my political party, but again, I don't really like the way they are, simply because they don't seem that fantastic. But now, my sort of area of Rome right now, the lands I own, as you can see on the political map, I am very comfortable with them, to be honest. I have a good hold on my northern province, which is protected by mountain passes, and the tribes, the barbarians, are at war with, the Greek and other barbarians, so they're distracted right now, and I'm fairly confident I have the troops to defend that as well, if need be. So I'm very comfortable with my northern. My southern provinces, mostly the 2 islands, the island of Syracuse, I believe is what it is. I'm fairly certain it's still that today, the island of Syracuse. And then the other island that was owned by Carthage and the Etruscan League just moments and days and videos ago, those are my southern provinces, of whom, southern and eastern provinces, of whom I am, of western provinces. Oh my god, I'm getting my geography mixed up now. Of my western provinces, sorry. And I do apologize for referring Greece as my west. It's actually my east. Goodness gracious, my head is just mixing things up today. But I have this, it's very protected, and I'm just looking eastward towards Greece, and I already told you my battle plan. So, all in all, the video is coming to an end, and I thank you for watching ever so, and for your support. As always, keep it going, keep it cool, and check out my Dark Souls 2 video. I highly recommend it. Peace.